What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Chase. As y'all know me, CR Media, and we are live here for another edition of the Sunday Morning Drive. We got championship edition, ladies and gentlemen. I am joined by my usual beautiful faces here at the Sports Empire Network. Cool McCain, Smoking Jeremy B, Dylan Reed, Chemo, and my man, the NFL genius, Gene. How are you all doing this morning?
I'm fired up, man. It's championship week. Listen, I'll tell you right now, it's very infrequent where the week is so big that I won't even gamble on the game. Like, I won't even place a bet on the game because the vibe of the week is so strong. The moment that the Dallas fraudulent Cowboys were eliminated from the playoffs last Sunday,
let's go.
I set my sights on this Sunday. And when they said we were the appetizer, not the main event, I was a little upset because this is a main event fight. But yes. I am so fired up. I got my Philly hoodie on. No one likes us. And I want to open y'all with a quick song. And it'll be very quick, I promise. No one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. We're from Philly, fucking Philly. No one likes us. We don't care.
I didn't mean to interrupt, Gene. My bad. I just got
You're
cut
good,
up.
bro. I'm fired up. Fired up.
I don't know. I love y'all this week. I'm sorry. Because the one thing the 49ers has not faced yet is a great defense and a great offense at the same time. They've faced one or the other, but they have not faced both yet. Sorry, Chemo. You're relishing in the moment of being here. I know.
I can't wait for the game. I knew this game was going to happen. Gene talked about it for a couple of weeks now. We knew it was going to get down to this. We knew that we were going to knock out Dallas. Like, to me, I just that was just a small speed bump in order to get to the destination. And I knew the NFC ran through Philly. And this is what I want. And this is probably the only week that I haven't put any bets on this game because I specifically said I want to watch good football. And I know this is going to be one hell of a fight. And
hell yeah,
I'm excited for this game in general. I think whoever wins this game, me personally, whoever wins this game, I think they win it all.
Absolutely, guys. Before we get into the two games and stuff like that, we got some other things to talk about today. But I want to just really quick plug Sports Empire Network. If you guys are watching this, hopefully you guys are following Sports Empire Network. And if you are following Sports Empire Network, make sure you hit the notification bell so you never ever miss anything from Sports Empire. Sports Empire is taking over the world, guys. We got a bunch of stuff going on. A lot of great shows, a lot of great content. You're going to see all these guys here on my screen right now on Sports Empire Network. You're also going to see tons of others. Like I said, Sports Empire Network is just growing like crazy. And as a way to say thank you for supporting Sports Empire Network, we have a promo code. If you guys are making it out to the games today, make sure that you go check out SeatGeek.com. Use promo code SEN. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Obviously, as the code, some games are eligible for the code, some events aren't. But check it out. Whether you're going to the game today or you're going to a concert, or like myself, I bought my tickets for WrestleMania, used my promo code, got $20 off. Made the joke I'm gonna get a beer in Los Angeles with that $20, maybe. But like I said, that's our way of saying thank you for your support for Sports Empire Network. We greatly appreciate it. Just some guys talking sports, trying to grow and trying to build something that's good for you guys and good for us. So getting into the games, guys. The first one. Now, guys, we do this show a certain way. I'm not going to change anything up, okay? The San Francisco 49ers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly is favored by 2.5 points. We're going to go down the line here clockwise. Give me your score predictions. Give me your keys to the victory. And just talk to us about this game, guys. Cool?
I'm going to go 28-24 Philadelphia Eagles. I think there are going to be some touchdowns scored. I think it's going to be a lot of 3-and-outs. I do believe it's going to be a fight, you know. But I think in the end of the day, and obviously you see what hat I'm wearing, you see what's in the background. But I think Philadelphia's just got a little bit more in them, a little bit more just ability to make things happen. You got a better guy at the quarterback position. I know all the talk is, oh, Brock's great. He's in the perfect system for him. And I'm not saying that he's not. But sometimes when it comes to that split second, we have to make a play. A guy who's had a couple of years in the league, guy who's been in some big game situations. The biggest game situation last year didn't turn out great for Hurts, but you learn, you experience, you grow, you become a better quarterback. And I just think he's got a little bit more. I think a lot of the things are even matched. You know, there's a couple of areas where I feel like the 49ers may be a little bit better than the Eagles. There's some areas where I feel like the Eagles are a little bit better than the 49ers. I think that quarterback differential is going to be big in this game because what Philly wants to do, of course, is make Brock Purdy win the game. And I'm going to stop there because I want to leave Gene a lot because I see he's very high.
Jeremy?
I've got the same thing, but I think it's going to be even a lower score than that because defenses are both so good on these teams. There will be some touchdown scores. Robbie Gould is probably one of the best field goal kickers in here, but I just think the Phillies got too much star power from top to bottom and in key spots, especially at quarterback. So I think they win. I think it's going to be more like 24-18.
Sorry, I was just messaging you guys something privately. Guys,
Where's that clicking coming from?
It's somebody's fan. Somebody has a fan on. They got to turn it off. But probably the 49ers fan. Look, Philadelphia is in a game where where's that fan coming from? Somebody can.
It's coming from Cool.
It can't be coming from me, sir.
I just muted him. See, it's coming from Cool.
Okay. All right. I'm waiting for this moment. I'm trying to figure out how I want to interject it. But the Philadelphia Eagles are a perfect matchup for the San Francisco 49ers across the board. Offensive line is top in the league to stop the number one run blitz in the NFL, which is the San Francisco 49ers. D'Amico Ryan should win AP Assistant Coach of the Year, and I mean that. He's the best defensive coordinator in football, and that 49ers defense is number one across the board for a reason. They struggle one spot, and I kind of wanted to interject that.
Running QBs.
Well, running QBs is part of it, but they're also 20th in the league against the deep pass. Now, the reason most teams can't throw the deep ball on San Fran is because Nick Bosa, who should be Defensive Player of the Year, wreaks havoc on other teams' quarterbacks. However, the best right tackle in the NFL, Lane Johnson, will be lined up against him. Lane Johnson, you know, the Micah Parsons stopper. You know, the guy that hasn't allowed a sack in 2 years. Lane Johnson will be lined up across Nick Bosa today. And if the Eagles' offensive line can just protect Jalen Hurts just enough, it will be the Philadelphia Eagles will win this football game. I see A.J. Brown having a huge day. All week we heard about A.J. Brown, the diva. And guys, I'll be perfectly honest with you. A.J. Brown, the diva, pissed me off. He did. You don't sit and sulk on the sidelines when you're winning a football game. It just, that's not the way you play football. I don't care what the situation is. But I think the godfather of his child, Jalen Hurts, will be throwing him the football all day. And the last thing I wanted to say before, and I'm sure there'll be discussion that pops off after Chemo gives this little prediction, but that's okay. The Rocky statue has been desecrated 3 times. Once in 2018, when the Minnesota Vikings came down here and dressed the Rocky statue up with Minnesota Vikings apparel. The Philadelphia Eagles won that football game 38-7. You decorate our doorsteps, we'll decorate your home. As you know, Super Bowl 52 was played in Minnesota. Last week, a bunch of New Yorkers came down here and thought that it would be okay to put a Giants jersey on the Rocky statue. Philadelphia won that game 38-7 also.
It felt like 68-7.
San Francisco, Philadelphia, they had a whole itinerary. We're going to take over the link. Debo Samuel's talking in press conferences. It's just Philly. It's just another place. You have no idea what you are in store for. None. This is not Alabama. This is not Tuscaloosa. This is not San Francisco. This is not anywhere else that you've ever experienced in the NFL. Philadelphia is not only a loud environment. Like, yes, we don't have the decibel levels. Our stadium has openings, which is why you'll never hear us on the decibel levels list because we're not a bowl. But what we do have is we have the most hostile fans in the country. And if you think you're going to come into this house and take over the link, you are sadly mistaken. Better fan bases have tried and failed. Philadelphia Eagles 23, San Francisco 49ers 20, in a very good football game that sees Brock Purdy have his first 2-turnover performance.
I can respect it, Gene. I got this game going 24-21 San Fran way. Everything you said, Gene, in regards to, the Rocky statue, I definitely agree with. I see the trend. I'm very interested to see what Purdy does on the road in general. And this is one hell of a situation to have this be your first playoff road game, to be in Philly. I do see everybody else being able to participate greatly, such as Debo, your Kittles, and stuff like that. And I know people say we haven't played a defense, but I think Dallas played us extremely well last week. But I don't think we've seen an offense like this. Now, San Francisco, we typically get burned by a number one receiver. So either AJ or Devontae Smith, they're going to go off. Somebody's going off. CD went off. DK went off. It's probably going to be AJ Brown. And just like you said, we get killed on them deep throws. It's going to happen. And with Lane Johnson on Nick Bosa, that's one of me personally, I'm terrified because I'm like, hey, Jalen Hurts gets outside of that pocket. We already struggle with scrambling quarterbacks. And if he airs that thing out, it's going to be trouble. But I do know that we're going to lean more toward on our run game. We couldn't get it going last week. I think we're going to be able to try to establish it, even though Elijah Mitchell's technically questionable, didn't practice all week. But we do have Christian McCaffrey, and I'm praying that he gets the job done in order to kill some of that clock, because Jalen Hurts and any scrambling quarterback, those are always my personal nightmares because I know how bad we struggle. But again, I think this is going to be a smash mouth football game. I think it's going to be a 3-point difference. Again, I think what I said, 24-21, that's the score I'm going with San Francisco winning this game in a bloodbath.
Man, I'm really excited for this game. I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. I love Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma. Love Jalen Hurts at Alabama. I got a Jalen Hurts jersey. Got Jalen Hurts shirt. So I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. So it's like I don't want to say I have a dog in this pick, but definitely I'm going to be a fan of Jalen Hurts when it comes down to it. And my pick is going to reflect that. I'm picking the Eagles today. The Eagles are just a team that have been very interesting all season. It seems like anytime you've had some sort of doubt about them, they're like, okay, we'll fix that and show you that that's not something you need to worry about anymore. And it just seems like this game just is a really good game for them on paper. It's at home in Philadelphia against Brock Purdy, who hasn't played in a road playoff game yet. It just seems like it's a good atmosphere for Philadelphia. I like Jalen Hurts. He has some great leadership mentality. What everyone's saying about, Philadelphia kind of having a lesser passer defense and being way better kind of, as a pass rush and a rushing defense as a whole, it says a lot. I do think one of AJ Brown or Devontae Smith is going to have a good game, and maybe Dallas Goedert on top of that. Philadelphia is one of those teams that if they can't beat you with the run, they're going to figure out how to beat you with the pass. And if they can't beat you with the pass, they'll figure out how to beat you with the run. And I think they're going to get one of those two ways done, probably more of the pass, but I'm taking Philadelphia. I just like them. I like them at home. I like everything about Philadelphia.
I I'm not reading too far into these games today, guys. It's championship Sunday, any given Sunday. So here's what I'm gonna say. Brock Purdy is gonna have the most miserable day of his life today. The only person that might be more miserable than Brock Purdy is gonna be Chemo. And that's it. I wanna highlight Daniel Dempsey. Daniel Dempsey. I appreciate you joining and watching with us. Daniel, that's my score prediction, 28-17. I think the Philadelphia Eagles defense absolutely demolishes Brock Purdy today. I think San Fran tries to put in another quarterback, and it fails on him by the end of the game. I don't think Brock Purdy finishes the game. Not by injury. I think San Francisco. I think Kyle Shanahan will panic, and Kyle Shanahan will put in somebody else. I think Kyle Shanahan will panic so bad that he'll even run some wildcat plays where Deebo Samuel will take direct snaps. I think Philadelphia is going to demolish the San Francisco 49ers today. I don't think it's going to be a question. I think Jalen Hurts is going to run all over that defense. I think everybody is going to question this San Francisco defense after today. Like I said, guys, I'm not looking into the numbers. I'm going based off of I'm doing what I haven't done all year. I'm playing with my heart today, not my gut. And my gut tells me it'll be a close game, but my heart tells me that Philadelphia is going to absolutely derail the San Francisco 49ers today. So that's my score prediction, 28-17.
I just have one question.
What's up?
If the Philadelphia Eagles win this game by double digits, I'm not saying if they win it by field goal, 13-10 or something like that, can we please stop the narrative that Philadelphia hasn't played anybody? Because I can see it now, right? Well, they had a Mr. Irrelevant pick 262. I could see it now going into the Super Bowl. They really haven't played anybody. They played.
If Jimmy Garoppolo would have played, y'all would have lost.
I see the narrative now. I want that narrative to stop.
It's ridiculous. The Eagles were by far in the NFC the Super Bowl favorite prior to a preseason snap. When you looked at their roster top to bottom, it was the most complete roster in football. You can say what you want, but that's the facts. And it never changed. The only thing that changed was when Jalen Hurts went down, they lost 2 games, and it wasn't because Gardner Minshew played horrible. He just didn't play good. There's a big difference there.
I just look at the 49ers roster as a whole, and I said earlier, I think a couple weeks ago on the show, I thought the Chargers had the most star-studded roster in the NFL. And if it's not the Chargers, it's the 49ers. Like, just going down the list.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they got stars, but the problem is it's not a complete.
5 players that they had at each position. Christian McCaffrey, we'd all agree, is a top 5 running back. Deebo Samuel's arguably a top 5 wide receiver, more likely top 10. The George Kittle's a top 5 tight end in football. That's no doubt.
Top three, yeah.
Trent Williams is the best left tackle in the NFL. Nick Bosa is the best defensive player in the NFL. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the NFL. Taluna Hufanga is a top 5 safety in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan is the best offensive mind in the NFL. I just don't want to hear the narrative.
Right. I agree.
Jalen Hurts handle business.
No, I agree.
My thing is going to be this, and I've said this on several different shows I've been on for the past couple of weeks. The problem is Gene's right either way. If we lose, right, to the 49ers, the narrative is going to be, the Eagles weren't even really that good. They didn't even play anybody. Once they played somebody, they lost. San Francisco, you haven't really played anybody. So, you're going to be down in the Super Bowl. What Gene already said about the Eagles, we win they've got a 7th-round quarterback. Debo's banged up. Christian McCaffrey's banged up. If those guys were 100% and they had Jimmy Garoppolo, this would have been a slaughter. So, for me, I welcome it, right? If we win, I want them to continue to say for 2 weeks that the Eagles aren't good enough. We shouldn't be there. And whoever wins in the AFC, is going to demolish us in the Super Bowl. Because like Gene so eloquently said at the beginning of the show, no one likes us, so we don't care. And I actually think it's further than we don't care. I think we enjoy it. I think it gives us pleasure when we're hated on.
I want to add something else.
That's my pleasure.
Yeah, I want to add something else on that. Think about this. they can say what they want, but Brock Purdy is just a more athletic Jimmy Garoppolo. Look at his numbers. He's no different. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't put the ball in bad situations. And he will rush for a first down when a play breaks down. Whereas Jimmy G, if he rushes for a first down and gets hit, he's out for the season. It's happened 4 years in a row.
Yeah. So there's people who say, sorry, I have to watch how I say this. There's people, especially in the sports world, and fans who say stuff ignorantly. We've seen that several times, right? Guys who think they know what they're talking about and they don't. And so all I'm going to say is that anybody who says the Philadelphia Eagles don't deserve to be here are absolutely asinine. Same thing with the 49ers. Both of these teams obviously deserve to be here. I don't get into that whole thing. Both teams are here, but especially the Philadelphia Eagles. The NFC East was the best division in football all year, and they were projected to be the worst.
No, that was the NFC South.
Well, yes and no. The Dallas Cowboys have one of the best defenses in the league, and the Philadelphia Eagles had to play them twice. Jalen Hurts would, and I'm wearing a 15 jersey, guys. Like Jalen Hurts would have been the unanimous MVP if Jalen Hurts wouldn't have got injured. The only thing that kept Jalen Hurts from that MVP award was the fact that he got injured.
I think they should have cemented it because of the two games they lost without him.
Yeah, which is exactly. That's and I've said my stance on the MVP award several times. You go back to 2011 when Peyton Manning had the neck surgery, and they won 2 games and got the first overall pick the next year without Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning should have been the MVP that year. I digress. All I'm saying is that anybody who says Philadelphia doesn't deserve to be here is absolutely asinine. And I'll question your football knowledge, and I'll question if you even watch the games. Jalen Hurts does exactly what Patrick Mahomes does, but a little bit better by keeping games alive, making plays with his feet. I think Jalen Hurts is a little bit more athletic than Patrick Mahomes. So, like I said, just the conversation is asinine. So let's not even do it. Gentlemen, before we get into the AFC Championship game, where do you think these teams, win or lose, where do these teams stack up in the free agency? What is their focus? The 49ers and the Eagles. Where cool. I want to do this the same way we do with the predictions, guys. Clockwise. Where do you think these guys go in free agency?
If you're Philadelphia, you always want to look at defensive line. You always want to bring help there. You could always look at, more depth, more help in the linebacker core. I don't see us keeping Bradbury and Slay next year, so you want to maybe look at someone else you could bring in as your second corner. Depending on what we decide to do with Miles Sanders, you may be looking at bringing in a running back as well. So those were the areas I think that we'd be looking into in free agency. Okay. And then did you want me to go over the 49ers as well?
If you have any,
Sure.
If you don't, then we'll move on.
Sure. I think the 49ers are going to be in the market possibly for a wide receiver because IU's coming up to get paid. There's only going to be, as with most teams, there's only going to be so much money to go around. As Gene said earlier, they have an all-star roster. They have a very good roster on paper as well. And I think the thing is some of those guys you're going to want to play. But aside from that, we know cornerback is a position where the 49ers probably want to draft and they want to bring in free agent help. So definitely in their secondary. Offensive line, you always can use depth there. They've had guys that have had injuries over the years. 49ers are one of those teams that are very injury ridden, so they're always want to look for depth at a lot of their positions as well.
Jeremy?
I was going to say secondary for the 49ers 100%, and possibly look for they may be looking to get rid of Trey Lance. As much as I hate to say it, there was a team that took a quarterback in the first round overall and got rid of him after a year. he got hurt early in his career at college too, so that's an injury history. So that's
Anything for Philly?
Philly. They're going to have to replace either one or the other. They can only afford to keep one. So, yes, Bradbury or Slay, whoever they keep, they're going to have to draft one and possibly get a vet to match up. And, there's a lot of options in this free agent pool as a veteran leadership type thing. But personally, I'd keep Slay over Bradbury. You might have to consider, because you're getting long in the tooth on the O-line as well. The players are starting to get older. They miss more games. So you're going to have to look probably in the draft for a valid backup.
All right, for Philadelphia, it's very simple. I've broken this down multiple times, and I'll help you guys out. Philadelphia has a ton of free agents this offseason. James Bradbury being one of them. They are not going to be re-signing him. I can almost guarantee you that. Miles Sanders being another one, they're not going to overpay him. I can almost guarantee you that. TJ Edwards being another one, they have already drafted his replacement. His name is Nakobe Dean. He is sitting there waiting in the wings. The entire defensive line is basically a free agent. And what I mean by that is Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, and Brandon Graham are all free agents. So,
and you had 2 prove-it deals too, right? Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph.
They're not really prove-it deals. They're gone.
Right. They're rent-a players for rotation.
So it's 5 defensive linemen. So Cool has nailed it on what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to need to get in free agency. But I'm going to add on to it for the draft. I think the Philadelphia Eagles take Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State to be their cornerback 2 opposite of Darius Slay. I think with their late pick in the first round or their second round pick, they take a running back out of college. I would not be upset with Muhammad Ibrahim out of Minnesota or Bijan Robinson if he lasts that long to the end of the first round. But the Philadelphia Eagles money that's spent this offseason will all be to solidify their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. He'll be getting a huge contract this offseason, and their defensive line, because they always build depth through there. Jordan Davis is waiting in the wings. Josh Sweat is under contract.
Milton
Williams is waiting in the wings, but they always replenish depth in their defensive line. That is their staple. As for the 49ers, hey, Chase, let me ask you a question. This name ring a bell to you? I don't know this guy. I watched football for a while. I don't know. Do you know who Charvarius Ward is?
Do I know who Charvarius Ward is?
Talking about burnt toast from last year's AFC Championship game.
Yeah, ask Chemo. Ask Chemo if he knows who Charvarius Ward is. Charvarius Ward. I'll say this: Charvarius Ward will be one of the main reasons why Chemo has a bad day today. I promise you.
Charvarius Ward, who was burnt toast last year's AFC Championship game, is the number 1 cornerback down in San Francisco. So I think San Francisco is going to be replacing 3 things this offseason. 1, that's the cornerback position. 2, that's the defensive coordinator, because DeMeco Ryans will be a head coach somewhere because he's too good. And the third one, which has already been mentioned in the chat, Rob Shuck saying, Bob, bye-bye Trey, but please spell his name right. You guys already talked about it earlier in the conversations that we had. But I think the next 49ers quarterback, and I think this is, to me, is what I've been predicting for about 5-6 months. The Bay Area kid goes home. 46-year-old Tom Brady comes in after the 49ers lose the NFC Championship game and is the person that the 49ers sell their fan base on to come back and win a Super Bowl. I think Tom Brady is their quarterback next year. I think you have Trey Lance sit behind him for a year, and I think you trade Brock Purdy for draft capital this offseason.
That's not bad. Not I ain't gonna lie to you, Gene. It's, you almost sold me on that. But as far as Philly, free agent wise, I think y'all probably go out there, just like Gene said, in regards to like a running back. I could see that. I could see maybe some more O-line help, maybe corners for sure, considering Bradbury and Slay. In regards to the Niners, man, We need corners. We've needed corners for the last 5 to 10 years, to be honest, man. So yeah, Charvarius Ward, I get it. He will probably be burnt toast today, man, but it's been a lot worse than that. If he's our best option, then that just says a lot about our corner situation. But as far as quarterbacks next year, I could see Brady coming, or I could even see Aaron Rodgers coming. But I just want to see how Brock plays out. I wouldn't trade Trey at all. We gave away 3 first-round draft picks for him, but definitely want to see how Brock plays this out, because I didn't expect us to get this far with them, so I'm kind of enjoying the ride just to see what we have. But we have Jimmy Ward that's going to be a free agent. Tashawn Gibson, who's been playing extremely well for us. So we'll probably get those guys resigned for safety help. But we're probably mainly going to be looking at corners, and as always, we're going to add depth to our defensive line, our front seven. So that's probably where we're looking to spend and looking to draft this year.
Yeah. I'm not going to go too much on it. Everyone's kind of basically said everything. Yeah, for Philadelphia, they'll definitely need to address what they're going to do with the defensive line. They have young talent in their depths, but they are losing a lot of depth at that defensive line, and they don't have all that depth to replace it there. So they're going to need to address if they want to bring back someone like Javon Hargraves. He's one of more of a cornerstone piece over someone like Linval Joseph or Ndamukong Suh. He's someone that you could give money and see, and it would make sense on why you'd give him money at the defensive line. You have some offensive line you have to pay. I'm pretty sure Jason Kelsey is going to be a free agent. That's something you need to decide what you want to do. Isaac Siamalu is a free agent as well. Yeah, and then also cornerbacks. James Bradbury is not going to get re-signed. It seems that's kind of been evident this whole season, that Philadelphia just wasn't going to be able to afford him, and that drafting a quarterback is probably going to be what they do. At number 10 is where that 10th overall pick is where I've been having them pick in a corner. I've been having them pick Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. He's my pick there, but I like the Joey Porter pick a lot too. That's a very smart pick. From San Francisco, basically they're kind of the same when it comes to the secondary. San Francisco's not had really a great quarterback room for a little bit. They tried to take a flyer on Jason Verrett. He's still been getting injured. Charvarius Ward is Charvarius Ward. He hasn't been great. And they even had players like Emmanuel Mosley, who's been playing up and down, and then he gets injured for the season. So definitely finding a cornerback that can be that centerpiece there, to where if you have a Charvarius Ward as your 2, it doesn't look so horrible if you have a better cornerback as your 1. So yeah, that's mainly it for San Francisco. Yeah, just secondary is a lot need with them. Maybe a third receiver. Jawan Jennings is that slot receiver you have right now. They've tried out Danny Gray there. He hasn't been super great. He has some flashes, but of course he's really young. But definitely maybe a young veteran, like slot receiver you can throw in there, get some big plays, be big for you.
For Philadelphia, I see it being defensive needs. Defensive backs. Hargrave at the defensive line position. Wouldn't mind seeing them pick up some, and I think they address those in free agency and the draft. But in the draft, I'd like to see them pick up some running backs, some running back help for Jalen Hurts, somebody he can expand the playbook with. And then San Francisco, Gene, I think that San Francisco wants to pursue Thomas Brady, but I think Kyle Shanahan says, nope, I'm still butthurt over 28-3, and I'm going to pursue Aaron Rodgers instead. And I think Tom Brady goes to Vegas to reunite with Josh McDaniels. With San Francisco, like I said, I just addressed the quarterback issue, and then their defensive issues as well. That's where I think the defensive backs is where they try to get some value in the free agency and then try to build up in the draft. Because like we've said, Charvarius Ward isn't it. The Chiefs tried to run a defense with Charvarius Ward as their number 1 defensive back, and that's why we took Trent McDuffie in the top 20 of the draft last year. So those are my 2 picks, guys. if nobody else has anything, I think we should. Jeremy, I see you, man. What you got for us? I see your
Well,
kitchen,
you
man.
know, prior to the season, if a couple of players could have stayed healthy, the 49ers would have had better players, but you got the walking injury reserve player, Jason Verrett, who hasn't played a game almost in 2 seasons now.
Feels like it's been longer than that, really. Like,
No, 3
That's
seasons
crazy.
ago, he played some games. So it's been 2 seasons in a row. He has not played a down in the regular season.
Interesting.
it's one of those what if stories for me. I always thought he was like really good when he played, at least on the Chargers days for sure.
All right, guys. So for our evening game, Gina, you okay?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You looked angry.
I saw your brow twitching, bro. I was like, "Are you all right?"
Hungry dogs run faster. I'm a hungry dog. I don't eat breakfast on game days. I'm hungry as hell as a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Listen, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
I wish Gene was playing for Philadelphia today.
Bro, and listen, and I ask everyone a favor. Anybody listening, anybody that's in the chat, anybody that's in this group, I ask y'all a favor. If there is, for whatever reason, the Philadelphia Eagles lose this football game, please give me the grace of a 24-hour rule. I appreciate that. I wear this team's heart on my sleeve, and it bothers me to no end. So give me the 24 hour. Listen, I'll take all the razzing you can give 24 hours after the game. I feel like that everyone deserves that 24-hour rule, especially this late in the postseason.
Not me. If the Chiefs lose, bring it, because I'm coming. I'm coming full. I'm coming full graces, baby. Listen. I grew up. Yeah. So
I'll make my comment after we preview the Bengals game, because I got a question for you, Chase, when it's over.
That's fine. That's fine. A Lions fan trying to razz people is always hilarious to me.
No, you can say what you want.
Gene, before we get into it, I want to ask you: did you have a nice meal after you got your ass whooped by Roman Reigns and the Usos last night?
First of all, that's not me. I'm not that guy. I'm not KO. I don't look like KO. Now I'm Mike.
Maybe a little.
Mike Vrabel.
That's what I'm saying, man. I've never.
Yeah, I'm saying more Mike Vrabel than Kevin Owens.
I watched that last night, and I'll tell you, I went to my buddy's house. I'm not a huge WWE guy, and I'm not. I know the show's not for that, but I'll tell you something right now. Her name is Vega. So, oh my God.
Vega.
I wanted to marry that woman last night. I seen her come out. I'm like, what? Who is this? But
it's Malachi Black wife.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just was hoping at the end of the show, if you heard on the speakers inside the stadium, do you smell what The Rock is cooking? And The Rock comes down there setting up a Rock versus Roman Reigns match. I felt like that was the play, but I couldn't get it done.
Nope. All right, gentlemen, we've got the AFC Championship game now. The Cincinnati Bengals come into Burrowhead to play against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 1 point. Cool.
So you got to look at these two teams, right? You got Joe Burrow. You have Pat Mahomes, right? You've got a plethora of 2s and 3s at receiver for the Chiefs. You've got, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, so forth, so on, with Cincinnati. Cincinnati's line is definitely a work in progress, to put it nicely. I think you have a situation where you have two solid, not great defenses, but solid defense. So I think the difference is going to be if they can keep pressure off Burrow, who can run the ball the best, and if they're going to find a way to mitigate Kelsey and McKinnon if you're Cincinnati. I don't believe Cincinnati is going to be able to do enough to win this game, because I do think Burrow is going to make some great plays, because he is what Joe Cool. This is supposed to be Burrowhead Stadium, which I think is a joke personally. I do think that when you poke the bear, you're going to get scratched, eaten, and destroyed. And I think that Cincinnati's went out of their way to poke the bear. right? And then they have a guy at corner, and Eli Apple, who is basically Ndamukong Suh not Ndamukong Suh, but Nnamdi Asomugha 2.0.
Burnt toast.
Burnt toast. And this is the guy who's chirping, and there's just been a lot of talk, fans and everything, very arrogant before the game happens. So I think the thing is, you put all those things together, I'm going to go with Kansas City. I think Kansas City is in a perfect position. You're at home, but no one expects you to win except your own fan base. A lot of disrespect being thrown, a lot of bulletin board material by Cincinnati, who feels like they've already won the game. And I think you're going to come out here and get punched in the mouth and get your behind whooped today because you've been arrogant, and it's time to learn a lesson.
Yeah, I was mentioned that on my NFL Roundtable Talks Wednesday night. Jamar Chase, the way he rebutted Willie Gay's statement about how we're not going to how we're going they weren't going to let that offense run all over them. And Jamar Chase said, Willie Gay, who? The linebacker? Like he doesn't know who Willie Gay is, because I do remember at Arrowhead he got tackled by Willie Gay on a screen pass that he could have broke for a touchdown. But that's a whole nother story. I got Kansas City winning this one because, like you said, you can't throw gas on a brush fire and expect good things. I got KC winning a close game. I can't even give a score prediction. I just don't think they're even going to hit the over because both defense are decent, and I think they're going to play each other tough.
Guys, I make it no secret. I'm a huge Joe Cool guy. Joe Cool. I had Joe Cool as the number 2 quarterback in the NFL way before anybody wanted to put him over Josh Allen. I said it weeks ago. Joe Burrow is that guy. Joe Burrow is him. Jamar Chase, in my opinion, is the most dominant receiver in the NFL. I'm not saying he's the best. I think that Justin Jefferson runs a route tree better. I think that Devontae Adams runs a route tree better. But when he's on, I don't think there's anyone better that can accomplish speed, strength, high pointing a ball than Jamar Chase. I don't understand why that you would throw gasoline all on a lit fire if you're Cincinnati. If you're Cincinnati, you need to, in my opinion, they're tweeting people from Buffalo, Eli Apples on Twitter, talking smack, Burrowhead, the comments about that. But the one that really just kind of like set me off, and I think that it will be replayed in infamy. He might lose an election because of this. The Cincinnati mayor ended up suggesting in a video proclamation that Patrick Mahomes should take a paternity test to determine if Joe Burrow is his father.
You stole my thunder.
It was absolutely embarrassing. And I think that what you end up doing is you poke the bear of the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid, we wouldn't argue who's the better coach between Andy Reid and Zach Taylor, right? Andy Reid is the better coach. He's the more accomplished coach. If you look at the Cincinnati Bengals depth chart as far as their offensive line goes, I'm just going to read it out to you. La'el Collins is on IR. He will not be playing today. Alex Kappa was ruled out 3 days ago. That's their starting right guard. Jonah Williams, who's their starting left tackle, has been ruled out. Ben Brown, has been on IR. That's their starting center from the beginning of the season. So they'll be playing with 1/5 of their starting offensive line. I think that everyone is overlooking the offensive line issues because they slowed down a Buffalo defensive line in the snow. I got news for you. In Kansas City, that Kansas City front four has played absolutely out of its mind this year. Let me just read you some stuff real quick. They're top 3 in the NFL in quarterback pressures. So in pressuring a quarterback, they're top 3. George Karlaftis and Frank Clark are coming around the ends. Both those guys are power, strong rushers that can add speed to their game also. Chris Jones, who, by the way, it's a joke he's nominated for Defensive Player of the Year. He shouldn't be. He's probably the 4th or 5th best defender in the league. Hassan Reddick should be in that role, and that's
Amen.
okay.
Amen.
But that's okay. Chris Jones is still to be nominated for Defensive Player of the Year as a defensive tackle. You don't hear about that unless you're Aaron Donald. So Chris Jones has been playing out of his mind. But where I will give you, where I think that Kansas City Chiefs make a huge play today is right here. Last week, correct me if I'm wrong, that one-handed interception that was made on Trevor Lawrence, that was Jalen Watson. Okay, so Jalen Watson made an incredible interception off of Trevor Lawrence last week. I think what the Chiefs have done the last 3 weeks by putting L'Jarius Sneed back in the nickel, back inside, covering the inside to slow down Hayden Hurst and Tyler Boyd is going to do wonders. And I think you'll see Trent McDuffie do a great job on the outside. But I think the difference in this ball game is Jalen Watson. I think he has a phenomenal game at the cornerback position. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win this one with the exact same score, 27-24.
Good call, Jen. Overall, I had this game originally 31-28 before the tweets start happening, before they start poking there. I actually had the Bengals winning this game at first, but once everything transpired, because when you think of, how, mild ankle sprain or high ankle sprain that, Pat Mahomes has and stuff like that, but the video of him walking off the podium and people are like, oh, is it hurt? Is he not hurt? Whatever the case may be. But the fact that Joe Burrow has had their numbers, for the last 3 games, that I was looking at that. But as long as you keep poking and poking and poking, and you're changing the name of the stadium, and you have your mayor out here poking, I'm like, you just pissed off. You just pissed off a beast. And I will no problems, no issues with that. I got the Chiefs winning this game. Now, again, this was completely switched like within the last 48, 72, 48 hours. And I actually got them winning like 28-21 now. I just think if you didn't piss them off, if you just played the game normally, I think Joe Burrow, Joe Cool could definitely, pull this out. But now you have that whole stadium riled up. You have all the players riled up, and it's just going to be a whole different ball game. And I got the Chiefs winning this game.
Man, I think this is what Bengals fans probably want, everyone to doubt them. They want to see everyone doubting them in this game, It's what they like. It's what they like. They always like having that little chip on their shoulder. I'm picking Cincinnati in this one, Man, Cincinnati's done it. Cincinnati's done it before. They've beaten Kansas City on the road in the playoffs in an AFC championship. This is not anything new. It's not like they haven't had to play Kansas City in a playoff atmosphere. They've done it. They know what they're used to. And they've played a Kansas City team that's probably arguably had better offensive weapons. I'm not going to say a better offense because different schemes, different players, different things run better. But they've played Kansas City when they've had different offensive weapons. So they've seen Kansas City different before. And they've also beat Kansas City this year. I do get the offensive line issues, and I feel like that will come into play. But it's not like Cincinnati's offensive line is going to get blown down every single play and nothing's going to happen. This is a very confident Cincinnati offense. And even with their issues, they're able to slow down the ball like they did in Kansas City, well, in Buffalo in any sort of way. It's going to be a good game for Cincinnati. And now I'm not trying to hate on Kansas City or say this is going to be a blowout by Cincinnati by any means. I think it's going to be a close game where Kansas City could win. And I would not be surprised if Kansas City comes out and wins this game by 10 points, 7 points, 3 points, like we're all predicting. It's not going to be a shocker to me. But I've seen Joe Burrow do it before, and you can't call it a rivalry if, one team's won all the games. So I'm taking Joe Burrow in this one. It seems like a good setup for him. Like, I don't know. I get everyone's picking Kansas City, though. I understand it. I just like the Bengals in this one.
I don't.
Of course you do. Of course you do. And that's fine, Dylan. I accept that.
He's a hater.
I've seen a lot of stupid comments come out of Sports Empire Network in the past 24 hours. So yours is not the worst. But in all seriousness, I'm going to watch how this game plays out with the gameplay. With the game plan. The AFC Championship last year, what you saw was confliction between Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes, and that second quarter demise. Like I said, there was obviously a lot of conflictions. One of the main things that caused that confliction last year between Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes is Eric Bieniemy is a running back coach. He was our running backs coach for years before he got promoted to offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy wants to run the ball, and Patrick Mahomes doesn't. Patrick Mahomes wants to do what Patrick Mahomes does. The problem is today of all days, you've got to run the ball. Isaiah Pacheco reminds you guys, and this is my weekly reminder to everybody. Isaiah Pacheco is a 7th round pick. Isaiah Pacheco needs to get the rock today.
Yes.
Jerick McKinnon needs to get the rock today. Patrick Mahomes can still make plays, but here's where I put it at, guys. 142. I'm not going to give you the points. I could, but I'm not going to. 142 decibels. Do you know what Dylan? Do you know what 142 decibels relates to?
The loudest rock concert.
No, a jet engine at 100 is 140 decibels. Arrowhead is louder than a jet engine at 100.
You guys kind of cheat to do that, though.
Huh?
You guys kind of cheat to do that, though.
Kind of? How did they cheat to do that?
The Chiefs and the Seahawks have built-in like barriers on the top of their stadiums to funnel sound in.
Arrowhead is open.
It's not open. There's no hole in the stadium. It's a complete circle. I can show you a picture.
He's saying it's a bowl.
Yeah.
It's a bowl.
Yeah,
it's an
it's
open dome.
Okay.
And the top of your stadium has funnels on the top of it. So, like, if you ever look up at the stadium, and I say this because I'm joking, bro. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have a super loud stadium. But I think what Kansas City and Seattle do is actually extremely smart, and it's a home field advantage like no other. They have like almost like roof barriers that funnel sound back into the stadium, so it never leaves. I know it's open, but what I'm saying is the top of the stadium doesn't wing out; it curves in.
Gotcha. I see
just like Soldier Field, just like Seahawks, just like a couple of other open stadiums that aren't really open. So I get what he's saying.
Yeah, so you give Kansas City bulletin board material like that, and that's what's going to happen. Is the Kansas City defense is going to rely on that 12th man, so to speak. You should know a lot about 12th man, since being a Seahawks fan, Dylan. The other thing I want to point out is in 2019, the Chiefs acquired Frank Clark from the Seattle Seahawks and signed him to a $105.5 million deal. And then they re-signed him again to a 2-year, $60 million deal. Frank Clark ain't worth that.
Biggest overpay in NFL history, almost.
I'm not done, Jeremy. Frank Clark isn't worth that until December and January hits. Frank Clark has as many sacks as Reggie White in the playoffs. Reggie White. So you let Chris Jones, by the way, if you watch the press conference with Chris Jones walks off and says, "I'll see you at Burrowhead on Sunday." Joe Burrow doesn't walk out of Arrowhead Stadium today. I promise you.
That Burrowhead thing is going to really shoot them in the foot.
Yeah. I don't care if Burrow is cool or not. Burrow gets put to rest today. Joe Cool is so cool today. His temperature is going to be the same as somebody in Fort Lauderdale who's been buried 6 feet under. That's Joe Cool's temperature today. I promise you. That defense is going to get nasty and it's going to get loud. Frank Clark with 10 sacks in the postseason, tying Reggie White. Chris Jones is going to get flagged today. You know what Chris Jones is going to get flagged today? Roughing the passer. It's going to get nasty. By the way, if I'm the Chiefs, I'm running the ball and I'm play action. And what I'm doing on play action is I'm putting MVS, I'm putting McCole Hardman, I'm putting all of your speed guys on the edge to go against Flowers, who has a sore hamstring. That's what I'm doing. But the Chiefs not only win this game, I think the Chiefs win this game by 6 or more points. I don't think it's a close game. I think
Chase,
I think it gets nasty today.
I want to add my playoff factoid
Chase,
here.
that sounds
And
Huh?
I said that sounds like a Paul Heyman promo. It's not
Dude,
a
you're damn
prediction.
right.
It's a spoiler.
That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. Joe Burrow gets zombified today.
playoff factoid: the last 3 seasons, 2019, 2020, and 2021, any team that has beat the Bills has lost in the following round. 3 years ago in 2019, it was the Houston Texans with the first time they won their division. That was when Tennessee fell on their face. And Watson went there and destroyed Josh Allen and the Bills, and then got destroyed in the next round. The
By
Chiefs.
Kansas City.
Yep. The Chiefs beat the Bills in the AFC Championship in 2020, lose to the Bucks humiliatingly in that Super Bowl.
Yep.
The next year, the Chiefs beat the Bills in an overtime thriller in Arrowhead in the divisional round, lose to the Bengals. This year, Cincinnati embarrasses the Bills, just like the Texans, just like the Chiefs the first time. Guess what? It's Cincinnati's turn to be the one that loses in the next round.
Chase, if I didn't like you before today, I loved you before today. But if I didn't like you before today, I would love you after that statement about the Chiefs, man. I feel that because that's how I feel about the Eagles. And like, I feel it in my gut. Like when you can hear someone say, we're going to bury them at the stadium and like how loud that crowd's going to be. Cause I feel that, like, you know what
I'm going to be there. I'm washing my armpits right after this show, and I'm getting in an Uber. I'm going to my cousin's lot, which is right across the street from Lot L, Tomahawk tailgating, baby. And we're gonna eat some food. We're gonna have some drinks. We're gonna play catch with a football. We're gonna watch the Eagles demolish the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game, and then we're gonna walk into Arrowhead, and I'm gonna lose my voice. I talk on the phone for a living, guys. I'm not going to work tomorrow. Like seriously, like. Aardvark Insurance. Like if you're watching this, I won't be there tomorrow. I'm not gonna have a voice. It's over. I'm going to Arizona, baby. Like I don't care. I don't care about Joe Burrow's record against the Chiefs. I don't care how what they did last year in the AFC Championship. Frank the Shark Clark is going to demolish Joe Burrow today, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
I do have one statement I wanted to add.
And Chemo, for you, my friend, that is not a prediction. That's a spoiler.
I do have one statement I wanted to add to this. And I think that a lot of people are focused on the point spread and the bets and where they're at and things of that nature. I want to ask you guys a question. And Chemo, I'm going to need you to do me a huge favor and take the 49ers fandom out of this for a minute.
Okay.
What Super Bowl sells the most for the NFL? And I'm going to ask you, and when you think about this, right, what Super Bowl has the best storyline? Is it Reed versus his former team? Kelsey versus Kelsey? Mahomes and Hurts 1 and 2 in the MVP ballot? Or is it Brock Purdy and Houday? Like, don't lie to yourselves. Don't lie to yourselves. The best storyline of this postseason is MVP versus MVP. Is Reed versus his former team. Is New Heights, Jason Kelsey versus Travis Kelsey, 2 first ballot Hall of Famers. Don't lie to yourself. And if you tell me it's another, give me another storyline that's better.
Why can't we get a 2019 Super Bowl with the MVP versus Mr. Irrelevant? How can that not sell as well? I get Kelsey and Kelsey. I get Hurts versus Mahomes. I get that. But you can also sell Mr. Irrelevant versus MVP, somehow Cinderella, David and Goliath, and a 2019 Super Bowl rematch.
Not as much as you can Andy Reid versus his old team. That right there trumps it.
And
Kelsey,
the new
Kelsey,
coach
they got a
is a guy
podcast
off
together.
of that Reed tree as well. So one of his quote unquote proteges.
Kudos to Jason
Nick
Kelsey
Sirianni.
for going viral on the first week of the season, though.
Absolutely, gentlemen. We will end this game talking about the same thing we did on the last one. If you're looking at free agency needs for both of these teams, who do you go with? Cool.
I'm gonna keep it sweet and real simple. If you are the Kansas City Chiefs, you need a number one receiver. You need a dominant guy to go along with Travis Kelce. Excuse me. Eagles on my mind. If you are the Cincinnati Bengals, you are praying to whatever higher power you believe in that there is help coming on the offensive line so that Joe Burrow will not die back there trying to win games.
Jeremy,
It's
a
he
clock.
pretty much took it away.
Okay.
I got nothing more to add. That's it. Cincinnati needs O-line so bad they're trying to dig up people who died that are Hall of Famers. They're trying to put up cardboard cutouts instead of the backups they got.
Anthony Munoz, can you put on some shoulder pads?
Right.
So for the Cincinnati Bengals, they have to focus on two positions. You guys already touched on the one, offensive line. I would draft interior help. They already paid Lyle Collins a ton of money. They drafted Jonah Williams with their 10th overall pick just a few years back. So their tackles should be locked up. They need interior offensive line. A Creed Humphrey type player would be amazing for them. Taking a little ploy at the fact that they're playing Creed Humphrey, the second best center in the NFL today. But and then I also think that the Cincinnati Bengals need secondary help, the corner position.
That's true.
I think that Eli Apple talks so much for being on 4 teams in 7 years. He was the 10th overall draft pick when he got picked. This guy's never made a Pro Bowl. The only Pro Bowl he made is bad trash talking. He made a Pro Bowl meme. That's what he did. Burnt toast, Eli Apple. I think that Eli Apple needs to be gone, and they needed secondary help. As for the Kansas City Chiefs, so it's difficult when you pay a quarterback as much. Now, listen, Patrick Mahomes deserves every dollar he gets, but I know Andy Reid. Andy Reid is an offensive, defensive line, a trenches guy. He's not going to overpay cornerbacks. He's not going to overpay wide receivers, especially when you have a quarterback like Mahomes. He's going to keep finding these diamonds in the rough. I think Kadarius Toney will end up being that number one wide receiver. He has all the attributes to be that eventually. I think if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you just keep shoring up that offensive and defensive line. Andy Reid is a trenches guy. I promise you that if you notice that they went out and they got George Karlaftis in the first round of this draft, their highest paid defensive player is defensive end. Their second highest paid defensive player is defensive tackle. I think they'll go out there and they'll get some more help around the trenches.
For me, I think Cincy definitely, just like everybody else said, including Gene, corners. I think Cincy definitely needs corners. I think they definitely need to beef up that offensive line. I mean, even when they were playing the Rams in Super Bowl, offensive line has always been an issue. They can't stay healthy, or they're just overall just can't keep Joe Cool protected. As far as the Chiefs, I would piggyback off Cool's statement and say a true number one receiver, but just like Gene said, in terms of Andy Reid wanting to spend up at receiver, I just don't see that happening. I would probably beef up their D-line and just get more depth in there. Offensive wise, I think they're pretty good. Besides, I would like to see them have a true number one, but I just think Kansas City definitely needs to, beef up their interior D line, and I think overall they'll be okay.
Penny came and told me that Kansas City and Philly's in the Super Bowl.
That's fine as long as Penny stays quiet, we're good.
Yep, I know.
I'm just
That's all.
No, I do agree. Dylan, I'll let you go first. My bad, bro.
Man, I'm not going to go too long. Basically, yeah, for Kansas City, they have some of their defensive line depth, being free agents. So making sure, you can kind of bulk up some of that depth. They'll still have their big name stars there for a little bit, but, the rotational pieces will kind of be out of there. So making sure you get some of that back. Definitely figuring out what you plan on doing at receiver. I do think Kadarius Toney, not sure if he could be that number one guy for you, but he'll definitely be a good number two, if not a number one. You have him, but you got to figure out what you're going to do with Juju Smith. I'm pretty sure Mecole Hardman's going to be a free agent as well too, so you got to try to figure out what do you want to do with those two guys. And then what you're going to do if you decide you don't want to keep either of those guys is going to be interesting. I think, they're not going to spend a lot at corner. I feel like they do have a good cornerback in Trent McDuffie. They do like him a lot. Just overall, yeah. I mean, the same thing everyone said. For Cincinnati, definitely figuring out what you want to do with the offensive line. You don't want to get them killed, like Chase said. Like, when situations like this, when you play great defensive lines, like especially like someone like, Chris Jones in Kansas City, like he's going to get your quarterback hurt, especially with the comments that are talking. And you need an offensive line to protect a franchise quarterback like that. Joe Burrow, if you can keep him healthy, I'm pretty sure we'll have a good long career in the NFL, no problem. But the thing is, if you can keep him protected, you never want an Andrew Luck situation. Someone that leaves out of their prime way too soon. So, yeah, I mean, just kind of the same what everyone said.
Yeah, no, I think with Cincinnati, like everybody has harped on, offensive line is a big issue. I would love to see Joe Cool get some other weapons as well. Like maybe an athletic tight end, somebody who can get out. They can run a 2 tight end set. They've kind of got some depth right there at running back. And then yes. I think Eli Apple is as bad as Orlando Scandrick. And I think he's a trash player like Orlando Scandrick. And him and Orlando Scandrick both run their mouths like trash players. So I think you've got to get some depth back there in the defensive backs. I think their front seven is all right. They've got some room for growth there. Kansas City, I think they will try and look for a number one wide receiver. I don't think they need one. I think again with Kansas City, you go out and you find an athletic tight end to kind of help step into the shoes of Travis Kelce. You guys know that Travis Kelce is the same age as Rob Gronkowski. And so I mean it's gonna eventually end with Travis Kelce. So you're gonna need somebody over the middle that's gonna get open like Kelce. So look for a young athletic tight end to come in. I love the fact that I feel like when the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill had a number one wide receiver, I feel like it shackled Mahomes. And without Tyreek Hill, I feel like Mahomes has been forced to spread this ball around, and I like that. And I think they should keep it that way. I think Tony, I think maybe not Juju staying, but the weapons that they have at wide receiver and running back, I think should be enough for Mahomes. I think if you're the Chiefs, I think you focus on defensive backs. They traded up to the number 20 position to take Trent McDuffie, another awesome cornerback out of Washington, who they took before with Marcus Peters. I think Trent McDuffie will last with Kansas City a little bit longer than Marcus Peters did. But another tall, lengthy wide receiver or defensive back to cover wide receivers to complement Trent McDuffie. Because I don't think Jalen Watson is it. But yeah, I like that. I think they do a really good job of rotating the defensive front guys. Some linebackers or defensive backs is where I would go if I was Kansas City. I love Nick Bolton. I love Willie Gay. I think Leo Chanel, who we drafted in the 3rd round, is going to be a stud. When they interviewed him and they asked him, they said, "What do you bring to Chiefs Kingdom?" He said, "Violence and physicality." And man, I fell in love with that dude right then and there. But some help, some depth to trade out those 3 guys because the Chiefs run a 4-3 would definitely be helpful. Guys, anyways, if you guys could pick any coaches that have not been fired yet that could be replaced, who do you see?
Oh, come on. Give me an easier question.
Yeah, exactly. I
am a Staley train.
Brandon Staley. I mean, we unanimously say, I'm going to give you a coach that's different than Brandon Staley because Brandon Staley should have been fired a little while ago. So Riverboat Ron in Washington should have been fired. He should have been replaced. So I won't take all of them, but there's 4 of them in my eyes. I know no preparation either. Just 4 came to mind right away.
I agree.
I'm
If it-
going McCarthy.
I was gonna say if nobody else has any, I'd love to hear Gene's 4.
Go ahead, Gene.
Nobody else has any?
I have one. It's going to really make everybody laugh. Even though he just got hired, Frank Reich should be fired.
Why?
Yep. Absolutely. I agree.
What did he do
I think
during
it was
the
a
job?
horrible hire.
It was a horrible hire. What did he do during the job? How is he going to make the Panthers better?
He's a great OC, but he
Frank
failed
Reich.
as a head coach.
Coach is a great coach.
Great quarterback coach, great
Not a great
OC.
coach. He's not
He
a
is
great head
not a
coach.
great head coach.
Can I ask you guys a question real quick? Do you think Jim Irsay is a good owner of a football program?
That's neither here nor there.
Hold on. I'm asking a question. Do you think Jim Irsay is a good owner?
I think he's average. I don't think he's great because he's made some bonehead moves, but he's also won in Indianapolis, so I think he's average.
Does Indianapolis have a GM that's in place that is making the decisions, or does Frank Wright have his hand in the decision?
He had his hand in the
He's
decision.
going to have his hand in the decision as a head coach.
He had
He's
his
not a head coach.
What?
He is the reason that they brought in Carson Wentz. He has said that himself,
That's fair.
Gene.
That's fair.
So he has a hand in who's brought in.
Not in an overall personnel decision. If you look at the Indianapolis Colts as an organization, he came there with Andrew Luck. He took them to the AFC divisional round. The next year, Andrew Luck retired. He had Jacoby Brissett, took them to the playoffs. The next year after that, they had Phillip Rivers, took them to the playoffs, 27-24 over Buffalo, who went to the AFC Championship game that year. The next year after that, he had a different quarterback again. He had Carson Wentz. They were in line to go to the playoffs, and Carson Wentz choked down the stretch like Carson Wentz only does. And then they brought in 39-year-old, 57-year-old, 66-year-old Matt Ryan to be their quarterback. Give that man a goddamn quarterback, and then you can see what he can do. Frank Wright's a good football coach. I think it's a good hire.
He's a good football coach. He's a great OC. I don't think it's a good hire.
I mean, listen, agreed.
I agree with Cool.
Anybody else have any
Coach
our
Will love
coaches?
it.
Or I'll give you my other
You
two.
may give us your 4G.
All right, so Brandon Staley is 100% 1. Riverboat Ron is 2. Riverboat Ron. Dylan, you want to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I was just
okay.
that.
You guys said Mike McCarthy earlier. Mike McCarthy, I love that he still has a job because that just gives me solidification that the Dallas Cowboys will consistently keep falling flat on their face. To me, that's fun. I love that. And the easiest one left on the docket is Josh McDaniels. How the hell does Josh McDaniels have a head coaching job after what he pulled in Las Vegas? Guys, I say this on my show before, and I'll say it again. What the Raiders organization did was borderline racist. And I don't mean that. I don't mean to spring out people's emotions when I say this, but what Rich Bisaccia did with that franchise last year, after John Gruden got fired for racist emails, after Henry Ruggs went to jail, what he did with that organization by getting them to the playoffs, he deserved a head coaching job. And they went and brought in Josh McDaniels, and they gave him more than 1 year. They literally said to him, "Oh, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day." Well, you didn't need to build Rome. You added Devontae Adams, and you got worse.
Exactly.
How?
I
And still had a top 5 running game.
think that's why I think the only reason Josh McDaniels still has his job is because Josh McDaniels has been texting Tom Brady, and Tom's like, "Yeah, sure. I'm recently divorced. I'm single. I'm ready to mingle. I'm coming to Vegas, baby." That's what I think.
I think that teams that hire coaches or coordinators in lieu of trying to draw quarterbacks there are asinine. And it worked really well for Denver. And the Jets just hired Nathaniel Hackett. He got 2 jobs because he took a piss next to Aaron Rodgers. How? It stinks. Like, anybody that thinks a coordinator for Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning is worth a shit doesn't know football. The offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers for the last 10 years is named Aaron Rodgers. The offensive coordinator for any Peyton Manning-led team was named Peyton Manning. Stop letting these coaches who Adam Gase was a Peyton Manning project, right? Peyton Manning had this great year with Adam Gase. Adam Gase destroyed 3 franchises. 3. Chicago, Miami, and New York. Are you out of your freaking mind? Stop hiring these coordinators.
And that's
coach.
You guys say that about Adam Gase, but you guys defend Jim Caldwell, and I'll tell you why I throw Jim Caldwell in there too. Because he was the OC under Chuck Pagano, who had a heart attack, who took over as an interim coach with a Peyton Manning ran team and got to the playoffs, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. He comes to Detroit.
Jim
where
Caldwell
Jim Schwartz
was the head coach when Manning had his neck surgery and the Colts went 2 and whatever, and they got the number 1 overall pick and picked Andrew Luck. Jim Caldwell was the coach that year. He's a great defensive coordinator.
Right. He comes to Detroit. That defense, which Schwartz and Mayhew built before he got there, was number 2 year 1, was number 13 year 2, was number 21st year 3, was number 28 year 4. He's not a great head coach. He's a good coordinator. There's a big difference.
I just think that the overlining issue that I had with Jim Caldwell was he had, and this is my point with most African-American coaches, they get shorter leashes than other coaches in the NFL. So Jim Caldwell takes the Indianapolis Colts to the Super Bowl. There's a Super Bowl. They got blown out by Seattle, by all means, but takes them to the Super Bowl. Not Seattle. I said that wrong. But takes them to the Super Bowl. Next year, Peyton Manning has neck surgery and is...
It was the Saints. It was the Saints.
Yes.
Yep.
Next year, Peyton Manning has neck surgery right before the season starts. They have no backup plan. They have no contingency plan. And he has one bad season.
Suck for luck.
For the Colts. And he gets fired. Okay, let's move to Detroit. You can say what you say about the Lions defense, but the last time the Lions made the playoffs was with who? Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell took them to the playoffs, and they were a blown call away from beating Dallas in Dallas. That was the worst call I've ever seen in my life. They threw the flag for PI, and then they picked. It didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Right. I know, but there was a lot more to that game than just that PI flag. I don't blame the refs. I blame the play calling in the whole second half. The first half, we had 2 rushing touchdowns by our third-string running back because they were hurt. We had hurt guys in front of them. Bush and Bell both went out prior to that game.
I follow, but you're not letting me finish my point. And
okay.
You want to argue that game, that's fine, but the Lions were in the playoffs, right? That's the last time they were in the playoffs. And if you take it a step further, next year he had a winning season. I think they were 9-7.
7-9 the next year.
7-9. Okay. They were still a relevant football program. He gets fired, and they give Matt Patricia, what do you get, 3-4 years there? Like
Caldwell had 4 years here.
But he took them from a 5-12 team to the playoffs.
No, we were 1 game out of the playoffs the year before because we were 7-9. It wasn't a 5-12 team to the playoffs. You got that totally wrong.
Okay, so you're a Lions fan. I'll defer to you. I'll look it up after everything that we say here. But my point that I'm making is the Lions were a relevant franchise when they haven't been relevant for my entire life. Jeremy, my entire life, they haven't played playoff football. They were a blown call away from beating the Cowboys in the playoffs with Caldwell. He gets fired. You give Matt Patricia 3-4 years in there to stink every year. It's not just Caldwell, though. It's many coaches in the NFL that get that shorter leash. You look at the situation that's happening right now.
4 years is not a short leash. I'm sorry. It's not.
That's fair. Is it not a short leash in Indianapolis when he got fired after one bad season?
It may have been in Indianapolis, but it wasn't in Detroit.
Okay.
All right. What year were we talking about with the Detroit Lions?
It was 2014-15 was when he took them to the playoffs when we had arguably the number 1, if not the number 2 defense that league. What we were number 1 at, and it was historically the second best. That was that year. That was his first year, but that was with the defense that Schwartz built. The following year, we lose Ndamukong Suh and Nick Fairley both from the center of that D line, and they don't address it.
He got fired after back-to-back winning seasons, which I was correct about.
I understand that, but he got fired because we didn't even make the playoffs the fourth year. We made it the third year.
Jim Caldwell went 14-2, 10-6 with a Super Bowl appearance, and then went 2-14 with the Chiefs. Got fired after one bad season. Then he went to the Detroit Lions, went 11-5, 7-9, 9-7, 9-7, and then they held on to Matt Patricia after that. That's my only point. And if I add on to that point with the Chargers, what they did right before Brandon Staley got in there, Justin Herbert wins Rookie of the Year. Guess what? They fire the coach. But yet they let Brandon Staley sit there and destroy the team for the next 2 years.
I understand that. Wait.
Flores in Miami. It's all across the NFL. It's actually a huge problem that needs to be addressed.
I wanted Matt Patricia gone after year one. I wanted him gone after game one versus New York Jets. He was supposed to be this defensive guru, and we let. Yeah, he should have never had the job.
Caldwell should have got one more year. If you have 2 winning seasons, you should have got another year. Now, if you plummet that year, then you should have been fired. But I do believe he should have got another year. You don't fire a coach who has 2 winning seasons.
Do you know he has 6 winning seasons and 2 losing seasons, and the guy's not a head coach in the NFL? Do you realize how freaking asinine that is? He's had 2 losing seasons out of 6 seasons as an NFL head coach. That's asinine. Ass of 9, ass of 10, ass of 11, ass of 12.
It's about
13, 14, 15.
Give me 20 asses.
But that's so upset. But it happens everywhere, guys. The excuses keep being made. Why was Jeff Saturday hired as head coach for the Indianapolis Colts?
Because Jim Irsay likes him. Period.
Hey, well, what did Jim Irsay like about him?
I don't know.
The fact that he's white and he played for the team.
I have no clue. I'm not there. I don't follow the Colts, so I don't know.
But if you want to be honest about it, if you want to hire a former player to get of the organization that you had your trust, Reggie Wayne was on that friggin' staff.
I know.
Jeff Saturday had 0 head coaching experience and got a head coaching job, and it's got a second interview for head coaching in the Indianapolis Colts. What did Mike McDaniels? Granted, I know Mike McDaniels is considered a minority coach. I understand that. But what did Mike McDaniels do this year that was different than what Brian Flores did last year? Please help me understand. It happens everywhere in the NFL, and it's constantly being brushed under the rug. It's a situational thing. Why did Matt Eberflus get hired as the Bears head coach? Please tell me. Why?
I have no clue. I don't know. Like I said, I don't follow these other teams. I don't care about other teams.
Jeremy, I'm not talking specifically to you. I'm talking to everybody.
Jeremy, we're having an open forum, dude.
Hired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Why? Brian Flores is way more qualified than he is. Help me understand why Eric Bieniemy is still sitting as offensive coordinator in Kansas City for the #1 offense in the league for four out of the last 5 years. Why, over time and time again, is the only winning coach that's 8 seasons that's constantly interviewing for jobs that can't get a goddamn head coaching job in Jim Caldwell? He's had 8 seasons as a head coach. 6 of them are winning seasons. Why is Mike Tomlin's name on the friggin' hot seat every goddamn year when they win every goddamn year? It's a joke. The NFL has a problem. And I'm sorry, and I'm going to get off my high horse because I know I get real intense when I talk about this, but it freaks me out more than anything in the world to know that this good old boys club that's hiring underqualified coaches over overqualified African-American coaches, and it drives me friggin' nuts. If D'Amico Ryans doesn't get a head coaching job this year, I'm going to fucking riot.
Hey,
I would like to say, Gene's my guy. When Gene goes into these things, I love it because it's good to have someone who's not of the same race be the ones to point these things out. Because as a person of color, when we constantly are the only person saying it, then people tend to blah blah blah. So I appreciate the fact that
the right qualified person will get the job. The right qualified person will get the job. You're just mad because the right qualified person didn't get got the job and your guy didn't.
Yeah.
No. Like I said, when you tell me that Josh McDaniels, or when you show me that Josh McDaniels deserves a second shot at head coach in the NFL, but Jim Caldwell doesn't, Come on.
And the
When
thing with Mike
you tell
McDaniels
me,
is, oh, sorry.
when you tell me that Joe Philbin, Stephen Ross, when you tell me that Stephen Ross has his general manager ask Des Bryant, what does your dad do for a living? He's a pimp. Oh, so your mom works for your dad? In the interview. I don't give a shit what you think about Des Bryant. I don't like Des Bryant. I didn't like Des Bryant coming in the NFL. But there is absolutely no reason why a Caucasian male should ask a African-American male that in any form. Guys, that was 12, 13 years ago. You realize that, right? These are not new issues, okay? Colin Kaepernick was not wrong. Like, these are issues that happen today still, and they're making a mockery out of it. Like, it's literally in our face. Brian Flores exposed their whole organization last year. He said not only did he not want me as his head coach, he wanted me to throw games so they could go after Sean Payton. They wanted me to tamper with Tom Brady. And then guess what happens? The NFL says, hey, Brian, we're cool. Go be Mike Tomlin's coordinator. Bro, that's racist in itself. We know you got discriminated against by the white people in the league, so we want you to go work for the black guy. What? Are you kidding me? And then people go, and Jeremy, this is not a dig at you because I know you brought it up, but there is a lot of, because like I said, it's bulletin board material. A lot of people go, you know that Eric Bieniemy was involved in a situation when he was in college almost 30 years ago. Yeah, you know that NFL head coaches, NFL coordinators beat their wives and get DUIs all the time, and it's swept under the rug. So you're going to tell me that this incident that Eric Bieniemy was involved in 30 years ago that led to nothing is the reason why Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach when he's coached the best, arguably the best offense in the NFL for the past 5 years? Doug Peterson got a job when he was the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. He got a head coaching job. Now Doug Peterson's a good coach. You know who else got a head coaching job? Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy got a head coaching job. Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator for Patrick Mahomes more than Doug Peterson was.
Am I saying it's right? No. I never said any of this was right.
No. I know.
What I want to say is,
Jeremy,
is exactly what I want to say. I just want to say one thing. Is I don't know what goes on in other teams' war rooms, draft rooms, front offices, or whatever. All I pay attention to is what happens here in Detroit.
Agreed.
And they gave Jim Caldwell a shot. Unfortunately, they hired Bob Quinn off of the suggestion of the NFL Competition Board, who wanted his boy as a head coach, which is why as soon as we didn't make the playoffs with a winning record, Jim Caldwell was fired. It had nothing to do with color of skin or any of that. It had to do with Bob Quinn wanted Matt Patricia. And yes, I will always refer to him as Matt Patricia because he's a trash head coach. He's a trash offensive coordinator, evidently.
But Jeremy, let me ask you something. So Gene's comment was that if you're not white, you have a short leash in the NFL.
I understand that. I'm just saying he didn't. So, I just said Jim Caldwell didn't have a short leash in Detroit. Is all I said.
Okay.
3 out of 4 winning seasons, though.
And that's the argument, Jeremy, is 3 out of 4 winning seasons. And for you said Quinn, right? Quinn wanted his boy Matt Patricia. Okay. So if you're running an organization, you've got a coach who has 3 out of 4 winning seasons, and you say, we're gonna go with Matt Patricia, we're gonna move on.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I did hate it at the time.
Romeo Crennel, I mean, like, again, I understand that the ending result was that Romeo Crennel was a better defensive coordinator than he was a head coach. When he went to Cleveland, he was 10-6 in Cleveland. 1 season, they fired him.
Right.
You're a Lions guy, Jeremy.
Texans. Right. Don't forget about the Texans.
Jeremy, you're a Lions guy, and I just want to ask you a simple question. Since 2000, do you know how many winning seasons the Detroit Lions had?
4.
And how many of them were Matt Patricia? I mean,
Actually, no, 5 now.
5 this year. How many of them were Jim Caldwell?
3.
Okay, that's crazy. And the last stat I'll bring up, and I promise I'll get off my high horse.
Hey, wait. I said it was Bob Quinn wanting his guy there. I've said that. Jim Caldwell said in his exit interview with every single station, every media he's ever been on, it had nothing to do with race on why I was fired from Detroit.
Okay. The last thing I'll say, and I'm going to blind resume you guys. You guys might figure it out. You might not. Head coach gets hired after a 6-10 season. Okay. Blind resume. First season, he goes 9-7. Will we say that they did a good job or no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Next
above
season,
500.
Next season, they go 12-4.
Excellent.
Okay. The next season, their quarterback gets hurt in week 6. They go 5-11. That quarterback is aging and leaves the franchise. Does he deserve another year?
Should.
Absolutely.
The next year, they draft a quarterback in the first round, top 10 pick, and go 7-9. That quarterback wins Rookie of the Year. Do they deserve another year?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That was Anthony Lynn's career.
Exactly.
He's 33-30 as a head coach. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. 33-31. I'm not taking the interim game he had in Buffalo, week 18. I'm not adding that to his resume. He's 33-31 as a head coach. He's never gotten another opportunity. It blows my mind. And that situation was Philip Rivers getting hurt, moving on to Indianapolis, and then them drafting Justin Herbert and him winning Rookie of the Year, going 7-9. It blows my mind how this isn't just more mainstream news and mainstream media. And it's not just one situation with Caldwell in Detroit. Jeremy brings up great points. I don't want it to be overlooking that he brings up great points about Detroit. He knows Detroit football. I get it. But it's not just one situation. And if we could point at Detroit and make an argument, and that was the only situation, I wouldn't have an argument. But that's just one of many situations.
Right.
That happens year after year after year. That we don't need to talk about what happened with Joe Philbin in Miami or Adam Gase in Miami, but Brian Flores takes that organization to back-to-back winning seasons and gets fired. There's so many situations in where this happens, and I can't just get it out of my head. Last year, some of the top qualified coaches for NFL coaching positions didn't get jobs. Matt Eberflus did. And when the NFL rose a stink about no African-American coaches getting hired and rewriting the Rooney Rule, Roger Goodell had a meeting with the owner of the Houston Texans, and a week later, they shy away from Josh McCown and Aaron Gase, who was going to be their hire, and they hire Lovie Smith for 1 year on an awful roster and fire him afterwards.
Yeah, I thought that was bull crap.
And before that, don't forget, they had another
David Culley
coach 1 year and gone. And see, here's the thing. I often like to think, right? So in this situation for the Detroit Lions, your guy is who you want to bring, your guy who looks like you, who you know, who you're comfortable with, right? Jim Caldwell doesn't look like you. You don't probably vibe on the same levels because you have different backgrounds. So you may be more comfortable with someone that you know there. So how can coaches who don't look like you, who may not have the same experience as you, who you may not feel as comfortable with, if they don't get those opportunities, how can they go to other places and really be successful?
I understand that.
And then also, one more point. And also on top of that, if everyone that's making the decisions doesn't look like the coaches that are not getting those opportunities, that are getting the short leashes, how can things really be better? And that's not just for the Detroit thing, but just because you mentioned that. So it not necessarily be, I don't want to keep him because he's a person of color. But I feel more comfortable with having my guy that I know that I like as the coach.
And the crazy part is it's not just the Detroit thing. And
yeah, no, definitely not.
I can understand Jim Caldwell getting 4 years in Detroit and then moving in a different direction. I understand that. If that was the only situation that had happened, I would get it. It's not, and that's the problem. Sorry, guys. I went really deep in my soapbox today, but yeah, I'm ready for Eagles football.
I got the church, Gene. I got the church fan for you and a nice cold water and orange juice.
I was going to say, cool. the church fan, is that what we've been hearing clicking all show?
Oh no, sir. I don't know what you're hearing, sir. I am literally in a room where there's no noise.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know if it's your cup like jiggling, or I don't know what it was, but when I muted you, the clicking stopped. And then like you took a drink, and then when you set your cup back down, it started again.
Yeah.
And then it stopped. So I don't know what it was, but as soon as you said church fan, I was like, I bet that's what it is. He's got that church fan hooked up to that desk.
No church fan,
I
no
know
church
what you're
fan.
talking about. I know what it's
Yeah. I'm just messing with you guys. Gentlemen, appreciate everybody this morning. Appreciate everybody coming on this morning. Appreciate the conversation. Obviously this is not going to be the last Sunday morning drive. We are going to continue doing this show. How we're going to map it out though, might be a little bit different. Obviously with the off season, we may not do it every week. We may not, might take a couple weeks off after the Super Bowl. I don't know, but we will keep you guys informed. We appreciate everybody who has joined with us this morning. Appreciate the conversation. Appreciate everybody in the chat. My guy, Ty Owens, who's a member of Chiefs Kingdom with me. My guy, Tristan Lang, who's a member of Chiefs Kingdom with me. Mr. Park, Mr. Shuck, Daniel Dempsey. And then Gene is getting engulfed by his green screen.
Lean up a little bit, Gene. We want to read
There you go.
There we go. Love it, Gene. Love it.
Chemo, I hope you have a good day, sir. Cool. And Gene, I hope y'all have a good day. Dylan, Smoke, and Jeremy B, I hope y'all enjoy some football. Like I said, I am getting ready to go. Jump in the shower, get ready. I'm going to go to my tailgate party. I'm going to watch the Eagles and the 49ers. And then I am going to forcibly lose my voice, screaming in Joe Burrow's ear, and letting them know how we feel. Anything else, gentlemen, before we start closing out here?
I just want to say, Chemo, you're my guy. Love the jacket. I hope you have a bad day.
Right.
I appreciate y'all, man.
Absolutely. Guys, if you are not already, make sure you are following Sports Empire Network. Hit the notification bell so you never, ever miss anything. Sports Empire Network has all your sports needs, and as a way to say thank you, use the promo code SEN on SeatGeek.com. Get you $20 off your first purchase. You will not regret it. And then, guys, anything else, any plugs today that you got going on Sports Empire Network, or are we just enjoying some football?
I'm just enjoying football today.
Enjoying football.
Fantastic.
I ain't got nothing else on my mind.
Well, if you are watching, make sure you do stay tuned to Sports Empire Network.
Is anyone doing a live stream real fast before he goes? Anyone doing a play-by-play?
I was going to say might.
I play today.
I wouldn't put it past Coach Dante. If Coach Dante is alive and breathing, he will probably be doing a watch along. So
I got a plus 1,800 same game parlay for the listeners out there. Just give it to you real quick. It's in the Chiefs versus Bengals game. I got Kadarius Toney over 31.5 yards. Isaac Pacheco, 50 yards rushing on the ground plus. Hayden Hurst over 34.5 yards. Isaac Pacheco, anytime touchdown scorer. And the Chiefs money line. $50 wins you $1,000.
So good line.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I'm not feeling frisky enough to do it.
I'm not a better, but that does.
But I promise you, after I get to that tailgate and I get a few shots in, gentlemen, and you'll get some videos of me doing the wobble and doing the stanky leg and hitting the Dougie. I will probably be doing that. So,
hey Chase, if I get a chance to, man, to this game, bro, when Philly plays Kansas City next year, I got to come hang out with you, bro. I got to.
Oh my God, dude. Absolutely. Like I said,
I'll come down for that too.
Yeah. Arrowhead. So Arrowhead banned tailgating after who's getting the Skype call?
We're gonna work emergency, guys. I gotta hop off.
All right. Arrowhead banned tailgating after the game started. They had an incident in the parking lot. Where they said no more after that. So my cousin, like I said, literally right across the street from the stadium, bought a lot, and we tailgate over there. and it's so much fun. It's so much
Awesome.
fun. It's Arrowhead. It's the Arrowhead atmosphere still. He puts a TV out there so people can stay and watch the game if they want. So it's lots of fun. But yeah, guys, if you guys come to Kansas City and you guys go to Arrowhead, you guys, if you want my phone number, message me and I will text. You can text me and I will hook you up with all the spots in the parking lot. Whether it's in the parking lot or it's in my cousin's lot, it doesn't matter where. I know where all the people are and all the good spots. So, gentlemen, appreciate you guys joining. Let's go enjoy some football. And cool. If I don't see you next year for Eagles and Chiefs, my good friend, are you going to be at WrestleMania in Philly?
Of course.
Oh yeah,
man.
I'll be there too.
My man.
No, listen, Chase, we have to get press passes. We're gonna get press passes for WrestleMania in Philadelphia. 100%.
Absolutely. Let me know.
All right.
We'll work towards it, and we'll get credentials and we'll get press passes, and yeah, 1,000%. There's a thing every year for SummerSlam. It's podcast row pretty much, or it's radio row, but for wrestling. Conrad Thompson, who's extremely well-known, well-popular wrestling podcaster. He's Ric Flair's son-in-law. He does this thing called Starcast every year for around SummerSlam, and they do podcast row instead of radio row. So podcast roll is the goal this year or next. So,
wait, is he married to Charlotte?
No, he's married to Charlotte's sister.
Andrade.
Yeah, he's married to Charlotte's sister.
Get back into wrestling, guys, just because of you guys. Get back into it.
I appreciate that. All right.
Well, I'm back into wrestling because I was finally able to watch a main event without having to pay $70 to watch it. I got Peacock.
Yeah, there you go. $4.99 a month or $9.99 a month. It's very
game changer.
Yeah, it's a game changer. So, all right, gentlemen. Pleasure as always. Have a fantastic day. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And next week we will do a Super Bowl preview show. So tune in next week for the Sunday morning drive, guys.
Fantastic.